we have a gentleman who is made history of becoming the first person of African descent to become a chess grandmaster. And also, he's had so many accolades throughout his life, and he's continuing to do big things in the world of chess. We're going to talk to him about the game of chess and him becoming a grandmaster, and also his educational pursuits and so much more. We want to welcome to the program Maurice Ashley. Hello, Maurice. How's everything?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the program. So let's get right to it. Your upbringing was very unique. You were born actually on the island of Jamaica, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You grew up there to around the age of 12, and then you and your siblings moved to Brooklyn, New York, the neighborhood of Brownsville. I was doing some research on you, and I was like, it's kind of like a compare and contrast type situation, because your beginnings are on this island of Jamaica, and then you come to New York and in a whole nother environment. What were some of the adjustments that you and your siblings had to make during that period of time?
Well, it was a challenge for us because we lived with our grandmother. My mother and my father had broken up very early in my life, and she had come to the United States when I was only 2 years old. My sister was 7 months old, and my brother was 10. And she came here in order to make a life for herself. There was an immigration policy that allowed for her at the time to come to this country and then make a life for herself, get all the papers together, and then bring us up with her to be able to live with her. That took her 10 years. So that was a challenge by itself, living without a mom or dad, being with a very strong grandmother who raised us with good principles and great educational ideas. She was a teacher herself, so we got a very good grounding. And the opportunity came to live with my mom. It was like a dream come true. But then we ended up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I mean, it's like Mike Tyson was from Brownsville, and I always make the joke that Brownsville was so rough that Mike had to get out of Brownsville. So it was definitely a challenge in both environments. Jamaica had its own challenges as well, living in the city and in poverty there. But we were just all about success. My mother had made that sacrifice of 10 years of intimacy with her children for us not to really be focused on becoming very successful. So whatever the circumstances were, we were going to deal with them and try to be the best that we could.
Rightfully so. It sounds like you and your siblings had a great upbringing. You mentioned not just with your mother taking the reins of taking care of you when you guys arrived in the U.S., and then, of course, with your grandmother being a big influence in your life. That was very important. And we're going to get back to New York in just a moment. But I want to start off with Jamaica. When I think of Jamaica, I think of the warm weather and kind of like a easy, easy living, but also when it comes to athletics, I think of track and field. Did your experiences with chess start in Jamaica, or did your fascination with chess come when you got to the United States?
People always have this image of Jamaica because what do you see? You see the ads on television, the commercials, One Love, come back to Jamaica. Man, when I came to the U.S. and I saw those commercials, I was thinking, that's Jamaica? Because we grew up, in Kingston. And Kingston is the exact opposite end of the island from the northwest coast that you see on Montego Bay, Negril, Ocho Rios, like you said, the warm weather, the water, the fun, the reggae sunsplash, all that good stuff. Our circumstances were quite modest, and in Kingston, 1 million people stacked on top of each other. If you don't have any money, it's rough. And we lived, in just very difficult circumstances, and the political violence at the time was terrible. I mean, just literally awful. I would live in every day that the police were going to take my brother away arbitrarily so that he would just not be able to vote for the competing party. It was very, very difficult circumstances. Nevertheless, our grandmother tried to keep us as protected as possible. And again, there is the culture there. So I still grew up with that great reggae music. We grew up being very proud of athletics. And there was not a lot of chess, to be truthful. I learned the rules watching my brother play with his friends, but I didn't get hooked on chess until I came to Brooklyn. And it was really in Brooklyn, going to high school. I went to Brooklyn Technical High School, that I saw a friend playing, and I knew the rules of the game, and I played him, and he crushed me, and I didn't like it because I was we were a competitive family, and I ended up very fortunately seeing a book on chess, and started reading the book, and then I fell in love, and that's really where the obsession came.
All right, let's move on now to your love affair with the game of chess. Coming up, did you have a chance to, who were some of your heroes that you looked up to as you were learning the game and perfecting the art of chess? Who were some of the people that you looked up to in order to, who did you model your game after?
You know, they're the all-stars of chess, the grandmasters, the famous players. Mikhail Tal was a world champion from Latvia who had a slashing, attacking style. Certainly I loved his game. I loved the Garry Kasparov, who was one of the greatest players of all time. He was initially from Azerbaijan, but most people consider him Soviet Russian. But maybe my greatest role models were actually the brothers from Brooklyn who called themselves the Black Bear School. They were not grandmasters. They were a couple of master-level players. Masters are quite a bit below grandmasters, the elite of the game. Think about a black belt in karate. You could be a black belt, or you could be a 10th degree black belt. So the grandmaster was a 10th degree black belt level. But these brothers were very serious about chess. So they played a lot of blitz chess, which is fast chess. There was a lot of trash talking in the games. Certainly, gamesmanship was there. But, you know, coming out of Brooklyn, that's going to happen. People are not just going to play quiet and methodical chess. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be trash talking. It's going to be distractions. Music is going to be playing. So it was a whole different vibe growing up in that environment. And when the Black Bear School was serious, they would get out the chess books. They'd break them down and look at the big ideas, and then they come back and say, all right, let's go. We're taking your money, son. So I had a very, very different upbringing from chess with the average grandmaster, if you will. But to me, it was perfect for the preparation for the cutthroat world that I would experience when I went into professional chess, where guys were trying to take your head off, even if they were doing it with a little bit more decorum, if you will.
Oh, wow. We're going to get more into that in just a bit, but you mentioned that your introduction to chess came when you were a high school student. Now, you mentioned about the Black Bear School giving you, that was your role models and just bringing that informal style, and that you mentioned the blitz chess. But in high school, when you were learning the game, were there any teachers, or did you just come across peers or contemporaries, and you guys just bonded together and just really learn the game?
You said it right there, contemporaries. I had some great friends, particularly one player who I told you beat me that first game was a guy named Clotaire Colas. He was from Haiti, so another immigrant as well. He and I, along with a group of our friends, we used to go after school, go to a classroom after school every single day and play chess. I mean, we went to war. We would go home and study, then we'd come back and try to murder each other. And we'd like, yo, what you got? And it was incredible. It was one of those things where you find the thing that you're passionate about, you love to do, and you just want to do it. Nobody needs to tell you, you're going to have to work out or train or study and all that. We just wanted to get good at it. We were self-motivated. That fire came from within. And somehow my brain was made for the game. So I caught on really fast, grew really quickly at the game. Honestly, if I tried to mimic the story, I would say no. Nobody's going to learn to become a grandmaster like that. But just somehow that fire was lit, and somehow my brain fit, like I said, and I just kept on growing until I finally met the Black Bear School a couple of years later, where then I got a new set of fire being lit from wanting to beat those guys. But yeah, it all started in high school, hanging out with my man Clotaire. It was very important that was the real beginning.
All right, let's go now into professional chess. You mentioned about the cutthroat world of professional chess. We're going to touch on that in just a minute, but what was the moment that you knew that, like, yeah, I can become a pro at this. I can not only earn a living, but I could travel the world and live comfortably and take my skills and take it to the next level. What was the moment for you that you knew that you can become a professional with this thing?
There was no singular moment, to tell you the truth. It was an evolving process. Chess is not a traditional business where you can go to a job, get your paycheck, maybe have a pension plan, insurance and all that. Chess is a hustle. Prove yourself. You have to also find alternative methods for having an income. So the very first time I actually started getting paid to play chess, paid for chess, was when I got a job teaching chess to young black kids in Harlem. And this was a program that the American Chess Foundation, now it's called the Chess in the Schools program. They changed their name in the 90s. When they had this program that brought chess into the inner city. And a nice Jewish lady, she was maybe 75, 80. Her name was Betty Dykeman. She knew of this program, and she was always at the chess club. And she saw me, and she said, you're a nice young man. You should be involved in this program that they have teaching kids chess in the schools. And she had some influence. I ended up having a great job teaching the kids. It was fantastic for me. I never thought I would do that. But when I started doing it, it was so natural to be hanging out with these young kids. I'm talking about 11, 12, 13-year-old young kids from Harlem who just loved the way I presented. They saw me. They saw that I was very much like them. I grew up in circumstances like them, and we really bonded. And one of the teams that I coached, called the Raging Rooks, ended up winning a national championship, a middle school, junior high school, they call it, championship. This was the Raging Rooks. You can Google it. Back in 1991, this team, we just went all the way and won a national championship title. That was where I first started making chess an economically viable part of my life. I always wanted to become a grandmaster. It was still several years before I became a grandmaster, 8 years to be precise. But that was when I knew I could make a living at this game that I was passionate about. And later I would add other elements, including the playing and getting prizes, including writing books, including a CD-ROM back in the day, including an app later, and very soon after actually also doing commentary on the game, which means players are playing and somebody's breaking it down for the fans so they can be like, whoa, so that's what's going on in the heads of the grandmasters. And now that actually basically my full-time job is traveling the world doing commentary, because now my playing career has been, is done basically, and I'm just talking about the professionals of today.
Okay, well, that's awesome, and definitely you've made a difference. You sound like when you first got into it, you really made a difference in the life of the youth. We're going to touch bases on that in a bit, but I want to go into now, you mentioned about being a grandmaster. You made history becoming the first person of African descent to become a chess grandmaster. How did this feat come about?
Well, grandmaster is the highest title you can have in the game. The grandmasters are the elite players of chess. And ever since I got hooked on it, I wanted to become a good player. And then I wanted to become a great player. And to do that, it's to get to the grandmaster title. Now, to become a grandmaster, you have to compete in international competitions against other international grandmasters. And the next tier below that is international master. And you have to prove yourself. You have to get the scores. You have to defeat the players in front of you. And there's a mathematical formula. It's a little complex, but it basically comes down to you've got to show that you can hang with established professionals. And it's not easy because you're doing it in competition. Nobody's doing you any favors. Everybody's trying to win money, and they got to pay their rent too. So I had to play these Russians, people from Romania, people from England, France, you name it. I just had to go around the world to try to accomplish this. What's kind of funny is two of the major steps, there are 3 steps you need to take, but 2 of the major tournaments that I played in that finally gave me the Grandmaster title were actually in New York, my hometown. It's kind of funny that that's where I finally actually accomplished the title of Grandmaster, because there was an international competition being held right there in Manhattan, and I was able to play in it and do extremely well. I ended up finishing in 2nd place. So, it's a march. It's a march. It's a competition. It's cutthroat, but I was able to pull it off and get the title.
Let's talk about that. Well, when people think, as you mentioned in the beginning, when you first started, when you came up under the mentorship of the people back in Brooklyn, where they introduced a whole nother flow of the game of chess, where there's trash talking and it's music and things of that nature. So did you bring some of that element to your professional career, or did you kind of stay within the boundaries of just being subdued and just being more analytical about the game?
I'm from Brooklyn, son. So, dude, oh no, you know I brought that in. I mean, the reality is, you know, you do or die. It's in Brownsville, we say never ran, never will. That's where I grew up, and so I brought that to the chessboard. And that's why my favorite player actually was Mikhail Tal. He was Latvian, but he played that kind of slash and burn style. Like, he's not about the nice, strategic, small steps. It's about, come here, I'm smashing your whole army, I'm taking your king, ripping it out of its castle, and beating it down. And that was the mindset, you know, you bring to the game. Like, this is a war. This is not just some modest little pieces on a chessboard. And people don't really get that about the game, that it is war, that it is so much strategy involved, because they can't get inside the minds of the players, right? But it's heated. And not only did I bring that kind of go-for-it killer attitude on the board, I really brought it as well into commentary. So now I do commentary for chess, do or die. I brought that kind of attitude not just in my commentary, as you can tell, if I'm talking chess, this is how I'm talking chess. It's not analytic and calculus. No, that's out. This is war. This is gangster. This is like somebody's trying to take somebody's head off and hurt their feelings while they're doing it.
All right, I hear that. And speaking of the cut, you mentioned about the cutthroat attitude of the game. What is it? What makes it cutthroat? Is it the style of play, or is it dealing with the business aspect of professional chess with endorsements? What is it about the game of chess, as you mentioned, that brings on that type of nature?
It's really about the game. It's win or lose. It's win or lose. Nobody cares about your feelings. It's not they call it a gentleman's game. Bobby Fischer used to say, I just love it when I make the next man squirm. Like, that was what he wanted. He wanted you to feel like you were not so hot when he was finished playing with you. You prepared all your life. You studied all those books. You played all those games. You brought all those ideas. In the end, you know what happened? I checkmated you. That's what happened. And that's what chess is about. Like, the top players are absolutely bringing it, and all the ego is on the line trying to win. So you've got to be ready, and you've got to be mentally strong, because if you lose, you know, it hurts. It hurts to just get taken down in something you prepared so deeply for, but you've got to bring it right back to the competition and get over any losses. So it's a tough world. It's a great world. It's a great character builder. You know, I make it sound like, you know, we're trying to really chop each other's heads off, and we kind of are, but in the end, there's a lot of respect as well, because game knows game, and the best players can see, you know, when you could play. And that was good for me, especially as a young black man growing up, because people could look at your color, but when they saw the moves on the board, that's all they noticed. Like, yo, he's dropping it. Like, watch out, because you will get taken out.
Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with some competition. I tell you that it brings as they say, brings the best out of a lot of people. And speaking of bringing the best out of a lot of people, you mentioned about the beginning when you were teaching the youth how to play the game of chess. I want to ask you, what's the challenge been like going into the inner cities and letting minority communities know that chess is a real game and you can succeed in this game? So what have you done to go into these communities and to spread the positive aspects and the educational side of the game of chess?
Well, you know, it's been wonderful, because I've been able to blessed to work with a couple of organizations that sponsor chess. And so I mentioned the Chess in the Schools program. They're still quite strong now in New York City. In fact, at one point there were 30,000 kids a year bringing the benefits of chess and sending coaches out to teach chess to that number of kids in New York. I also worked for the Harlem Educational Activities Fund. They're based in Harlem, and when they heard about the story of chess, they wanted to bring it into their community as well, so I was able to teach there. More recently, I've been working in St. Louis, where I'm based, and they have a great chess club here and an organization that sends teachers out to over 100 schools in the St. Louis area. So there are a number of organizations that know the benefits of chess and have supported it and have brought me on to be able to do the same. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. The biggest challenge I find is usually the mindset of administrators and principals. It's the adults. Kids love chess. I don't know what it is that makes chess such an endurable game. It's been around now for 1,500 years. It's been across all cultures. Somehow, you put a chessboard in front of kids, and they're just fascinated. It could be the pieces, the variety of things they can do. You got kings and queens and knights and bishops. And you're like, what the heck, pawns and rooks? And you're like, what's going on this chessboard that's so fascinating? But kids just love it. So it's never really a challenge to bring it to the kids. It's usually the perception of the adults that maybe kids would not be interested, or maybe even a more pernicious idea that maybe our kids would not be interested, meaning black kids, but it's invariably you find you drop the chessboard down and kids are like, hey, what's this? I want to play.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. It's always kind of interesting with anything. I mean, kids are always interested in things. I guess they have just that precocious nature and just the know-how to do things. And I want to go on now to speaking of doing what you've done over the years, of course, playing the game of chess. You were inducted by the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame in 2016. That was a prestigious honor. Congratulations on that. What was the ceremony like, just to be recognized for all the hard work that you've put in and continue to put in to spread the awareness about the game of chess?
There was a really humbling moment for me because I never became one of the elites, the top tens of the game. Grandmaster, yes, but top 10 would be, if I compared it to somebody like LeBron James, the Michael Jordans, that elite Kobe Bryant of the universe. So I never made it to that level. I was a pro, but not elite pro. But because I did so many things and continue to do so many things in chess, whether it's from a coaching perspective, helping kids win national championship titles, whether it's from a writing perspective, whether it's from a commentary, so bringing that energy and joy to people around the world, because we do all this online, so everybody's watching from all around the planet. Whether it's an organizer, I created a big chess tournament. It was called the Millionaire Chess Open, and that was $1 million on the line, and nobody had ever brought a tournament like that to chess. Designer, app designer. I've been able to do and fortunate enough to pursue this thing that I love and make a real impact in the world of chess. That's what that Hall of Fame induction meant to me. And it meant even more because I was able to invite my mother and my sister and my daughter. They were able to attend, be in the presence, but especially my mother, who had sacrificed so much to bring us all over. You mentioned myself, but we should also mention my other two siblings, because my brother was a 3-time world champion kickboxer. And my sister, the baby of the family, she ended up becoming a 6-time world champion boxer. And my brother has been inducted into the Martial Arts of Fame. My sister has been inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. So we all came from humble beginnings, but to see the sacrifice my grandmother made, my mother, and I don't want to discount my father as well, because he did come back into our lives, and he played a pivotal role in inspiring us and manning up. So we had great help, and it was a very proud moment for me to be able to give that gift back and say, everything you guys did for us was well worth it. Absolutely. At the end of the day, when I wake up, I get to talk about chess. That's crazy to me. That's how I make a living. That's how I've been able to feed my family, be successful, travel the world, because I get to play then and now, talk about the game that I love so much.
Rightfully so, and you've achieved a lot thus far and continue to do big things, and congratulations to you again on that induction. Also, congratulations to your siblings as well for striving in the world of both with your brother and your baby sister and doing their thing. So congratulations to all of you on that. How do you, with you playing chess all of these years, how do you apply it to the principles in the game of life?
Wow, that's a question for another interview, man. We could take another two days talking about that. That's part of what I do. Chess is a decision-making game, right? You have to make a good decision on every single move. And those decisions have consequences. Not only that, you have an opponent across the board from you that you have to respect. Because if you just ignore what they're trying to do, you're going to get hurt. So, and then when you win or lose the game, particularly when you lose, there are lessons to learn. You don't just throw it outside and pout. There are lessons to draw from in the loss. Where was your mistake? What were you not thinking about when you made this bad move? How did you not anticipate this other idea? How can you improve as a learner? So all those things that I just talked about, making good decisions, certainly you got to be patient, respecting your opponent every single time, learning about the consequences, learning how to make better decisions and to learn from your bad ones. That's life. That's life. And there's so many more with chess, whether it's patience and concentration, just learning that better focus, and being very creative, not thinking inside of a box, but thinking about many ideas, seeing the big picture. It's really endless. And we could drill down deep in even each one of those things that I just described. So chess is really a discipline masking as a game. But the good thing is it is a game, so it's really enjoyable to play. And it's somehow evergreen. You can go back and learn lessons time and time again.
Rightfully so, and a great analogy that you put on that. And Maurice, again, thank you so much for being on the program, taking time out of your busy schedule. So let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and if you have a website, let them know that as well.
Absolutely. Well, the name is Maurice Ashley, so you Google that, you'll find me everywhere, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter. Maurice Ashley and chess has put it together. You can even just put Maurice Black Grandmaster, Google that, and everything will pop up. You can find me very easily.
Well, you heard it from him. He's Maurice Ashley. He's the first person of African descent to attain the title of Chess Grandmaster, also inducted into the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame. Maurice, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program.
I appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.